You should just go now.
No.
What's up, fellow collectors? P-Rockzilla back again for another review, and today we're going to take a look at a 1/6 scale figure, and this is the THREEZERO, The Walking Dead, Morgan Jones from The Walking Dead series. Now, I know this series kind of died down a little bit towards like after the 6th season, at least for me, but the fact that it ended recently, and I did watch the last season, it kind of reignited my love for this series. Like, I'm kind of, I don't know, like, after watching it, like, I kind of missed the intro, hearing that intro song again, and just, I'm like, damn, man, I can't believe this show. I remember seeing the show when it first came out, so now it's done already, and that's just more of something that, nowadays, as you get older, you start realizing some things are either ending, or players are retiring, and you just feel a little bit older as the time goes on. So, this is the reason why I decided to pick up this figure, because I did enjoy the Walking Dead series, and I do have some figures in the line, and Morgan was one of my favorite characters. The actor, Lenny James, loved him in this series. If you guys haven't seen it yet, please go check it out. This series called Hung, where he played a pimp. This is the first time I've seen him in that series, and I liked him in that series, and I started seeing him in other movies. And when I first saw him Walking Dead, I was super excited to see him in there, and especially the connection they gave to him and Rick Grimes. The connection they gave to both of those characters right there. He, to me, made Fear the Walking Dead better, so hopefully he'll make this review better. All right, let's get this review started. Dale.
Tequila.
As always, let's go ahead and take a look at the box before we get the figure out the box. And as you can see, THREEZERO continues the trend here where they have the lettering and a glossy black lettering right here of the characters. You don't really see it unless you actually have it in direct light, but I do like that where it kind of hides it. You can actually see the character more. Anyways, THREEZERO logo, Morgan Jones, 1/6 scale collectible figure, the Walking Dead logo right there by AMC. On the side, you get the AMC TV series with a bloody logo there. THREEZERO official seal, Walking Dead, THREEZERO. And the back, you get a cool picture of Lenny James playing Morgan Jones in The Walking Dead. You get all the legal information down here at the bottom. And on the other side, you get The Walking Dead, Morgan Jones, THREEZERO one last time. And then on the top, we get The Walking Dead by AMC. All right. And then one more thing. We do open this flap right here. It does have a flap. And when you do open the flap, you get another cool picture of the actor playing Morgan Jones. And that's a cool picture right there. And then, of course, you get the figure right there. All right. So let's go ahead and get this figure out the box. So once you go ahead and get the figure out of the box, this is what you agreed with. Now, quick note. This box, I don't recall if the other Walking Dead ones came the same way, but it does not come sealed with any tape. So this is a kind of a plus and a negative. Plus because you can easily put it back in there, store it back in there when you're done messing with the figure. Or if you don't want to display them more, and you can kind of keep it looking new. Negative is, if you buy this new from someone or labeled new, it could be used if they open this carefully without causing increases. So anyways, get the box out the way. And the first clamshell, you get 2 layers. The top one has the actual character, Morgan right here, as you can see. Nice, pretty good. I don't want to say the shirt feels nice, but the pants are all right, but soft goods right here. And then the bottom, you get all his accessories laid out and a nice little tray there. And then you do get the warranty sheet. And that's it. All right, so let's go ahead and take Morgan and all his accessories out so we can take a close look and fine detail on what comes in the box with them. And there we have Morgan laid out with all the accessories that come in the package. So let's go ahead and take a look at the figure first. And seeing this figure first, all right, so maybe not in pictures, but in hand, I see Morgan, but something is just like a little off. I'm not sure if the eyes are too separated apart or maybe a little bit too high. Like, to me, the mouth portion and like the nose and everything, the ears and like even the hair, like the detail in the hair, all that, like, well, let me put this a little bit lighter so we can see this detail a little bit better. There we go. So yeah, so as you can see, like the stubbles on his head, all that looks pretty accurate to me from what I remember how he looked in the show and in the pictures on the actual packaging. It's just something with the eyes, man. Like, I don't know, but I mean, it looks close enough. Like you would know who he is. Like if you're Walking Dead fans and you come in my house, see my collection, or even just a casual Walking Dead fan, or even Fear the Walking Dead, you would know who this guy is if you saw him on a shelf. So it's not that, like, you know, way off, but it's just something a little bit off. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the rest of the figure. Now the clothing on him, the soft goods, feels pretty good. I'm not a fan of this string here. I know it's kind of looking realistic, but it feels a little too thin and fragile for me. I like this, the little wiring they have there. That's pretty cool. Actually looks like the real wire. That was pretty cool. The armor piece, in the packaging, or I guess the promo shots looked a little bit better, but in hand, I don't know, it looks a little bit more like cheap, like a little bit cheaper looking. I'm not sure, but it's all right. The shoulder pads look good. I like weathering in the shoulder pads, as you can see there, all the weathering there. You get the vest there. The vest feels good. Just weathering on the like little spotches of weathering right there. You can see right there on the shirt, all across on this portion. See, right here looks good. Just maybe that plastic cover on top just makes it look, I don't know, something about it looks off. But that looks good. Elbow pads, knee pads, or shin guards, whatever you want to call these, look good also. So that looks all pretty good. The sheath for his knife looks good. It's not, obviously it's pleather, but it feels good. Obviously you're going to have to probably condition this. And then let's look around. The zipper here, let's see if the zipper works. Oh, look, the zipper does work. All right, so that's cool. You can probably stuff some stuff in there. You know what I mean. And then, whatchamacallit, you got the holster right here, which looks good also. Strapped on pretty good there. Has the Velcro on the top. Then you have the knee pads, shin pads, shin guards. Like the catcher stuff that they use in baseball. This looks pretty good. Feels decent. Over here, is this Velcro or is it actually, I think it's actually strapped on. So that's something you gotta be careful if you ever wanna, well, actually no, the clip's right there, so that's cool. So you can actually take this off very easily if you want. Just unclip that right there. So that's good if you want to do customization, or just changes, or use this with another figure. And of course, in the bottom, you got the treads with the Walking Dead. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's the THREEZERO logo, AMC. Yeah, so looks like Morgan. So let's go ahead and look at the articulation. So the head can go pretty, no, actually not that much far back. Let's bring this lighting a little bit back down again, just so there we go. And then pretty decent forward. Actually, no, pretty good forward. You could look really pretty down. You could look down at Cole. You can look to the left. You can look to the right. It feels like he could do 360, but I have bad luck with that, so I'm not gonna attempt it. All right. No, not much side to side. All right, so the arms gonna go far up. Are these seamless ones again? No, these actually feel plastic. Yes, so they finally gave us one plastic, because the other characters had the seamless arms on the there, which makes no sense. They're covered, and then you can't really keep it posed for long. But yeah, you get double bend at the elbow. So I love the fact that they actually went to the plastic arms. So now I can keep them bent and not worry about the seamless arm underneath getting damaged. All right, so that looks pretty good. All right, so you could, oh, there goes the hand. All right, so if you push that out, the sleeve, because of the Velcro straps, will push the sleeve down. So it'll probably push your hand out, but you can go pretty far back. And then you can go pretty far forward, all the way up. Let's put that Velcro back on. All right, I'll leave that hand off for now. All right, same thing with the other one. And you get the double bend. You get pivot swivel at the upper bicep. So that's good right there. Then let's see if he gets an ab crunch. So you could, Morgan, actually, even with that suit on, yeah, he gets a pretty good ab crunch. Oh, and there goes the head. Man, everything's just falling apart right now. This is what I do my reviews uncut, because you actually get to experience the things firsthand. So eventually I'll put that back on also. Let's see what else falls off in the rest of the review. All right, so go backwards, not that far back. Sideways, he does get a good bend sideways. It looks weird with the head off. All right, so then there we go. So the legs, let's see if a leg pops off. All right, so he can't do a split. Technically he can with the body underneath. It's just because of the pants, that the crotch area. So he can do a split if it wasn't because of the pants, but the leg can go pretty far up. So he can't really do the Hogan boot because of the pants also. Let's check the bend of the knee and see what falls off. Nothing. All right. Whoa. Let me knock on wood. All right. So he gets pretty good bend in the knee, even with the straps and everything here. So I wouldn't bend it too much, because you don't want to kind of put too much wear and tear on the clips right there. So that bends good. You get pivot swivel. Yeah, you get swivel at the is it yeah? It's the upper thigh. So you get swivel at the thigh. And then let's see, the feet. You can go not too far much down, not really far up. I guess it's because of the boot and there's no cut at the boot. All right, and then you get a little bit pivot left and right. Of course, swivel. All right, so there goes Morgan's articulation without his head. Let me just see if I can pop this in real quick. If it doesn't come in quick, I'm just gonna do it off camera on the next portion. All right, yep, it went back on. All right, so hopefully the shirt's not tucked in under there. All right, so there goes Morgan. I'll get his arm hand on there later. So he does come with his sheath for his wooden stick. So this, I know for a fact, will go under the armor piece. So when you put it on, I'm not going to do it on camera, but I'm going to do it in between the poses, but it goes under the armor piece. Just got to remember that. And then basically the wooden stick, which I do like. I like the, the paint they put on there. You can see the blood. When I first saw him with this stick at first, I thought it was cheesy at first. But then, he did do the point here. But then when I thought about it, I was like, man, this is like Donatello. If Donatello was in a zombie apocalypse, man, he would do the same thing too. So that's another reason I started liking, Morgan. Kind of related to my Ninja Turtles. Yeah, so the stick looks good. And then the stick, obviously, will go into the sheath. There you go. Just like that. Feels good. Sheath doesn't feel cheap. Obviously, condition that. And then you actually have the rifle. Now, this was pretty cool, too. No matter what, I was going to keep my Morgan with the stick, because this is what I know him with now. But the added rifle is beautiful, too. It actually feels pretty good. It actually feels like wood, but, obviously it's plastic. Yeah, nice detail on the actual gun there. Let me just bring the lighting up a little bit more so you can see a little bit more of the detail. Yep. Paint here could have been a little bit better. The scope looks like it's painted instead of like a clear plastic. So that could have been a little bit better. And then you have the nozzle. Oop, there we go. Sorry about that. Sometimes I forget to look in the camera. Yep, and then the strap is also pleather also, so make sure you condition that also, and it actually feels pretty good. Then you get his handgun, which I'm kind of upset it doesn't cock back or anything. It's a little cheap added feature, but I like that feature when the gun's actually cocked back or you can take the clip out. But it looks basic, not too special. I like the little silver right there. They added the silver paint for the screw. And then you get his knife. And this looks nice. I like the little weathering right here. At the handle. You can still see the paint there on the gold. See a little blood right there. Looks shiny in the light, so it looks like an actual knife. Obviously plastic, just good paint application. And same thing on this side right here. And then you do get, he comes with the open hands, and then you get another one of the open hands. This is probably for holding the rifle. This is for more likely holding the rifle right here, this hand right here. What I do like is they kept it consistent with each left hand. He has the wedding ring on. So going to that, you have the stick hands or the pistol hand. It could be either or. And then you get the closed fist, the dapping hands. And then you get two sets. I only have one here, but two sets of pegs. Obviously, that's probably a good thing, knowing that this one flew out because, no, this is the one that flew. As you can see, it came out with the pegs, so we'll see if this is going to be a hard time to take out. Anyways, there's everything he comes with, so let's go ahead and get some size comparison started. And there we have Morgan standing there in a default pose. But before we continue with the size comparison, I do want to point out, and as you can see, Morgan is pointing out himself too. During the articulation portion of the review, I did mention that I was nervous about the little thread that's holding the chest piece together on the armor. As you can see, mine just came loose by itself. I didn't touch it from what I recall. More than likely, probably when I was attaching the head back on or maybe the hand back on. And going to the hand, the issue with my hand is, thankfully, it came with 4 extra wrist pegs. The hole for my wrist is too big, so all the pegs basically just slid out easily. So that was the issue with it. So I found one peg that fit the best in there. Currently, that's the one I'm using right there. So I'm hoping during holding weapons, you can hold the weapon without that hand falling out the peg or falling out the wrist. But back to the string, So now I gotta figure out a way to kind of get that string back into that slot. Probably have to wet it up somehow and then just try to slide through that slot to get it snug in there. It's gonna be almost impossible to tie, but I'll figure it out. Probably not during the review process, just gonna get the review done. But just want to point that out to show you guys that I did have a few QC issues with my figure so far. But anyways, back to why we're still here. The size comparison. Let's go ahead and bring in, I'm going to bring in 3 figures from 3 different lines. And the first one I'm going to bring in is going to be the Hot Toys Moth Gideon. Just hold him by the head because I'm going to get my fingers in that little polished chrome. So there we have Moth Gideon standing there with Morgan. Now let's go ahead and bring in the figure before he's forgotten, because the in-art version is getting a lot of attention. And this is going to be the Asimus Aragorn. And last but not least, I want to bring in something different. And this is going to be Transformers Masterpiece Optimus Prime. So there we have 4 different figures from 4 different lines. And I just want to do a size comparison just in case you had any of these figures in your collection, so you can see how they will look in your collection if you want to pick up this Morgan figure, which I do kind of recommend. If you're a Walking Dead fan so far, I'll save it towards the end, but so far I'm enjoying the figure, even with the QC issues. All right, let's go ahead and get the final thoughts and final poses. And there we have Morgan taking aim at a walker trying to come close to him. And as you can see, he does have his hand on the sheath with the knife, just in case a walker tries to get too close to him or come from behind. He can easily stab him in the head, which is kind of one thing that did kind of bother me about the show when it was starting to go downhill after a little bit after season 6, was how easy it was for these people to stab walkers in the head with like knives and sticks. I understand if they were decayed for a couple of days or even years, but those people who just turn into walkers, and these dudes, they just, even little girls, like stab them in the head so easily. You gotta be pretty strong to do that, man. But anyways, back to the figure. I'm enjoying the figure. I still have issues with that thread holding the armor piece. I wasn't able to really get it in there, so I kind of just tucked it under the shoulder pad piece. And it looks good so far, but I do want to fix it. My OCD's not gonna let me put that figure on my display until that's pretty fixed, or at least good enough. The sheath for the stick was a real pain to get on there. I may have frayed a little bit the tip of the belt trying to get it into the buckle. I had to use the knife to actually help me push it into the buckle. But once I was able to get on there, it takes a little time, because on the pictures, it shows it a different way. But then when you put it on something different, it's a little confusing. But anyways, I think I got it on there. I'm pretty sure I got on there correctly. I could be wrong. But anyways, it's on there. It holds the stick good. So I'm happy with that. Everything else held up pretty good. I guess I just had the piece with the head popping off in the hand and that thread. But anyways, I'm enjoying the figure so far, so let's check out another pose coming up right now. Okay, with knowing the fact that they did not put the seamless arms underneath the clothes on this figure, I wanted to test those joints to kind of basically show you guys, without those seamless joints, a pose you can kind of keep the figure in and keep it in your display for as long as you want, because it will cause no damage to either the arms or the clothing. So that's one thing I do like about these figures. I understand, you know, some of these Walking Dead figures are not as popular because, you know, they kind of came out as the show started dying down. But most of them, not all of them, but most of them are good. And then this is a good one that you can have good posing with. Now, I did have issues with that posing because those freaking pegs pop out the hand, out the wrist so easily. Even like the other one, I was having issues with that. And I still was having issues with that thread still coming off on the shoulder pad. But I was able to get this action type pose, crouching type pose I wanted to get accomplished. I was able to get it no problem. Even with the hindering of the pants, I had to adjust like the ankle a little bit because the crotch area was getting tight. But knowing the fact that I can, and I was able to get him in a pose like this, and then kind of keep him like this in my display if I want to, makes me happy as a collector. And kind of, you know, happy about this purchase. Yeah, there could have been some improvements on there. Yeah, the peg should have been better. Scope could have been a little bit better. That thread should have been actual string. A few things like that. But in the long run, I think, you know, it's not too an expensive figure for 1/6 scale. So I think it was kind of worth the purchase if you're a fan of The Walking Dead. So last but not least, I wanted to include the other 2 Walking Dead figures I have from THREEZERO. I do have Rick Grimes also, but he's still in box. And I'm looking forward to opening that one. I saw the review on him from SSR, and a lot of people are really, you know, praising that figure, saying good things about that figure. And I'm happy, like I said, 3-0, like for the price, they're usually hit or miss. You know, sometimes they be hitting that one on the ballpark, like that Rick Grimes one. So I'm definitely looking forward to opening that one and adding them to my collection. But so far, these are the 3 I have open so far in my display. We have Morgan, then we have Glenn, then we have Carl, or as Rick says, Carl. So all 3 so far are good. Now, one thing I did notice between the 3 that has an issue with the 3 that is on all 3 of them is basically I'm trying to get the point to. Look at the wrists. For some reason, I kind of wish. See, you can see the seamless sleeve on Carl right there, but on all 3 of them, for some reason, no matter how you try to pose them or you get any somewhat type pose, that wrist peg just sticks out like a sore thumb. Look at Glenn. Glenn, like I barely got any posing on him, and you can still see that wrist peg. So it's a trend with all 3 figures. So it's something you just gotta deal with. Like I said, you know, these figures are not as expensive, and to me, these are more for like the people who are Walking Dead fans. If you still buy these and not being a huge Walking Dead fans, maybe you have a significant other who is, or you just enjoyed the show, or you just like the way the figures look, that, you know, more power to you for collecting these. You know, it's better for the community to have different things and stuff. Everybody having the same thing. So I always encourage that, you know, collect something different. Just, you know, collect what you like. So if you like these figures and you have these figures, you know, I'm pretty sure you might have your own issues with them, or maybe just I'm having particular issues with mine. So I'm not saying across the board that my Morgan is the issue. Is going to be the same with everybody. Like I said, it could have just been mine, so I'm not sure yet. But if it is the same issues with your Morgan, please let me know in the comments. And collectors and ladies, thank you for coming by and check out this review. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please hit that like, subscribe button, click that bell notification. And as always, collectors, keep collecting, stay safe, be good, dale.